Hi everyone, it's Emilia here. Welcome to a flower making video. Today I want to show you how to make paper poinsettia flowers. These are super easy to make. I know I say it every time I make flowers, but it's true. Once you know how to make them, they're super easy and they look so gorgeous. This time I used glitter and I absolutely love the result. Of course, if you don't like the glitter, you don't have to do that. It's totally optional. You can make them in any color you want. I mostly focus on the brown centers. I did make just few red ones. Today I want to also make brown because I absolutely love that color scheme. But yes, each flower has only 2 layers. They are quick to shape, and I did make paper poinsettia flowers on my channel years ago. Somewhere there is a video, but I think I will update it because this time I used the Elizabeth Craft Designs, the poinsettia flowers, and they've got different sizes. I used those 4. I didn't use the biggest one, and I didn't use any of the little ones for my flowers there. But of course, you can do that. You can also create leaves with them, how we've got here on the cover. But I'm not going to create any leaves today. I did die cut lots of petals, and I've got the shaping mat from Stamperia. This is like a rubber, and it has this waterproof, heat-proof, well, something. So we'll be using that. It's quite firm. I will be using some shaping tools from Stamperia and also a very old one which has this super small ending. I will be using that today. I will be using glitter. This is the new Distress Rock Candy, and this is the chunky glitter, so not the fine one. There are 2, fine and chunky. This is the chunky, and that's why it looks so pretty on the flowers. For the flower centers I will be using these super tiny balls. These are styrofoam balls. I'm not bringing them here yet because I'm afraid they will go everywhere. You will also need a water, heat glue gun, heat tool, optional, and the paper. The paper, this is the paper I use for years, and it's kind of watercolor paper, but it's, I think, a slightly cheaper version. It's very inexpensive, that's why I buy it. It's from Hobbycraft in the UK. So if you be looking for something similar, I guess it's kind of watercolor paper, but it doesn't need to be super great quality. It's not completely white, it's, I would say, slightly off-white. Look at the paper comparing to that label. I hope you can see the difference. It's off-white, slightly creamy color, and it's 190 GSM, and this is good. It's not too thin, not too thick. Perfect for my needs. What else I will need? I will bring a paper towel and the glass mat as well. You will also need a ink to ink the flowers, and I will start with that. I'm using coffee ink from Stamperia. It's a brown color and I absolutely love it. So what I will do, I will grab a little bit of ink and just ink the centers of my flowers. I'm not going to go on the petals, but of course, if you want, you can do that. And I'm only inking the top layer. So if you want to do it on both sides, definitely you can do it, but I don't see a point of doing that. Like I said, for one flower I will be using 2 layers of the same size petals. Don't worry if your petals go a bit wonky, it doesn't matter. So this will be 1, then I need that size. I will make each size, 1 flower of each size. So that's the second one. Then we need 2 smaller and 2 smallest. Okay, now I will place them the color down, and I'm going to sprinkle them with water and wait a few seconds for them to absorb that water. So I've got the sprayer here, and really a little bit, we don't want a lot of water. So straight away you can turn them again, so now they will just soak that water which is on the glass mat. And because the ink we are using is not waterproof, you can see that it's moving, so that's why it's better just to place them upside down again. Not upside down, the correct side now. This paper will become soft after picking up some water, so then we can move them to the paper towel, because once you feel in your fingers they soft, they are ready to shape. Now we bring the shaping mat, and I will need that tool with the super small ball. So how I shape them, I will take the large one, or it doesn't matter, any size, place them the color down, and I will go in the middle of each petal from the top to the center of the flower with my tool. Then again on one side twice, and on the other side twice. Then from the edge to the middle. So this is how this is looking so far, and then I will repeat that on each petal. I will bring the camera closer so you can see. So we just go from the top to the middle of the petal, and from the side you can go once or twice. Sometimes I just do just once. Then again in the middle. If it's a larger petal you can do twice from the side. If it's a smaller you can do once, because the petals in these flowers are irregular, so there are all different sizes. So then we've got the finished flower. It's still very soft, so I wouldn't do anything with it. You can just place it on your hand and maybe use a bigger tool, or even in the pad, just to press that in the middle. And this is all for the shaping. Now we need to leave it to dry. We're not going to glue it while it's wet. So doesn't matter what size of the layer, I will still shape them the same way, only just changing the amount of the shaping on the sides. For the smaller petals I would just do once on each side, and that's it. You repeat that for all the flowers, for all the layers, all the petals. You just continue, and if you feel that it's not going well, maybe your paper is still too wet, that's why I put it on the paper towel, so it's still soft, but you know, it's not very wet. That's why we also add a little bit of water. Turn it upside down and press in the middle. So we've got another layer, and then I will leave it to dry. You can also place them all in the bowl and use the heat gun to dry them. If I'm in a rush I would do that, but if not, then by the time I will finish shaping, the flowers on the mat will be dry. On this one, you see, sometimes it's like you cannot move your tool, and maybe because the paper is already too dry, or maybe it's still too wet. But don't worry about that. You can help yourself by maybe pressing in the middle, and sometimes you can go from the center to the top and then repeat that from the top, because we want the petal to curl on the top. You see how it's curling when I'm just pressing with that tool? So from that kind of simple shape, it goes in more natural shape. and I do it slowly, I do not rush, then its result is better. Again, choose the ball that it's not very big for the center, but this will bring all the petals up. Another layer done. For gluing them together, I will use hot glue. I also got these styrofoam balls. I did find these on Amazon and I will link them for you. I've got my glue gun here ready. I also got the tweezers for placing that balls in. They've got various sizes, so I will be using 2 petals, like I said, for 1 flower. And I'm using, this is just the yoga mat cut into small pieces. I use it for just for gluing the flowers together. Offset the petals, press in the middle. We don't want the petals to overlap, so you always position them, you know, so they are between, the top layer is between the bottom layer. And then I will choose one of that to go in the middle. So I'm adding a little bit of glue, not too much, and then, oops, let me just grab that. I will place that in the center. So that's it for now. This is before adding glitter. I will assemble them all and then we can add glitter. So again, this one actually is darker, but I will have the darker. Normally I would put the darker layer on the bottom, but I can have one darker flower, so the darker layer here goes on top. Let me grab that. This is I don't want to grab it with the tweezers because they kind of squashed the balls, but because it's a foam, then it gets back to its shape. Okay. Now I will bring the glitter. For the glitter, I will also use clear glue, the glue that dries clear, tacky glue, and paintbrush. I got a piece of paper because I want to catch all the glitter, and I got a cheap paintbrush and the glue that dries clear, and I will just go with the glue on some of the petals. I do not go on the whole flower. Usually I focus on one side. Of course, this is a personal choice, so you can do it differently, but once I've got the glue, I will just sprinkle glitter on top. Tap that off a little bit, and now we can wait for it to dry. Then I will do another one, and I will do the same for all the flowers. These are the flowers I made today. Let me know, what do you think? I absolutely adore them. They're super, super sweet. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you will make these flowers, please tag me on social media, Emilia Sieradzan. I will be so happy to see your handmade paper flowers. Have a lovely creative day, everyone. Bye bye.